Hi everyone, Joy here bringing you another BasicGrey video. Today I'm back to share a fun video with you all about school. As we know, a lot of kids are still on summer break, but also there is a lot of kids heading back into school as well. So I wanted to share how I put together a really fun teacher card that you could give to your favourite teacher, or you can make into card sets at the end of the term. So I'm just taking this fun formula stamp from BasicGrey and Hero Arts. And to me, it reminded me of a teacher drawing on the blackboard. So I decided to go with that kind of theme and use some black cardstock, which I cut down to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm just going to ink that stamp up with some Versamark ink. But first, I want to lay down some powder so that the embossing powder doesn't stick to the cardstock. So I'm just using the EK6X powder tool here. And you'll see that how I stamp that image, I usually lay that big background stamp onto the table. I find it's really easier to work that way rather than actually turn it and flip it and stamp onto the actual cardstock. So I'm just adding the Versamark ink to the top of the stamp here and giving a good layer so that when I stamp it, it actually gets a good impression on the cardstock. So laying the cardstock over that stamp and just grabbing some scratch paper that I have and holding with one hand and rubbing with the other. And I want to place my hands right over the top of this stamp so that I get a really good impression right out to the edges. Okay, so I'll just take that cardstock now off, and you'll just see in the light here the image is actually stamped onto that cardstock. So I'm taking some white embossing powder and I'm just going to apply a layer over the top. You will find that there will be a few little dustings of powder still left over on the cardstock, and I just use a paintbrush and I tap them off that way before I heat set. Okay, so I've heat set all that and it's all embossed and ready to go. So I just need a place where I can actually add our sentiment and maybe a few other elements. So I cut down this piece of white cardstock to measure 2 inches by 4 inches, and I'm just going to adhere this to the bottom of that piece of cardstock. So just using my grid mat here and lining it up so that I could get it even across there. And I have some excess hanging off, so I'm just going to trim that off with my scissors. Okay, so that's the base of our card. Now just work with the elements, and I trimmed out some Konnichiwa paper here and just with some spellbinder dies, and this is the apple. And I'm going to apply some peeled paint over the top just to give that apple a real pop off the card when it's on the white. So just applying the peeled paint around the edge, and you'll notice that I do apply a fair bit because I really want that image to pop. This also is a really, really good way of actually changing up pattern paper as well. Okay, so I'm happy with how the apple's looking there. So next we'll just adhere that to the left-hand side of our cardstock. And taking some chipboard stickers from the Paper Cottage collection, I'm just going to punch out some letters which will actually end up spelling the word teacher. And now I'm just going to lightly put these onto that cardstock. I'm not going to press them down immediately because in case I need to move them at all, I've got a chance to be able to move them before they're actually fully adhered to the card. And I'm actually placing these not in a straight line. I want it to look very different, very jagged, so that it gives it a really different look to the card and something visually to look at. Just finishing off the last letter of that word, which is the R. So I'm happy with how they're all spaced out, and I'm just going to press them down to make sure that they're really properly adhered. And I felt that the white against the black strip there was really needing something to finish off. So I just trimmed down 2 strips of pattern paper. Now the pattern paper I used was from the Paper Clippings collection, and it's called Typewriter. So I just used 2 strips of that and adhered that to the top and bottom of that white piece of cardstock. Finding that the card really needed something else to finish that section off, I decided to use more of that typewriter paper, and I'm just going to punch out some numbers. So I'm going to punch out 1, 2 and 3, and this also goes with the teacher theme, you know, the writing on the board with the sums and everything, and it also goes with the background stamp that I've used. So I've just used a little circle punch here, and I can't remember the size of it, so I'm really sorry. But I think if off the top of my head it may be an 1/8 of an inch circle punch. So I'm just going to apply some foam dimensionals just to give it a little bit of height and a bit of a different look to the rest of the elements on that piece there. And I'm just going to apply the numbers. So I'm going to have the little 1 down here near the other side of the apple, and 2 and 3 above the word teacher. Okay, so to finish the black sections off of the cardstock, I decided to corner round the corners. So I'm just using the 3/8 inch corner rounder. And now I'm just going to adhere this to the front of a card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And deciding to do the same with the corners, just to mimic the black. So I'm using the same punch and just going around and corner chomping all those corners. Okay, so I decided to give the word teacher a little bit more of an element to it, and I wanted to add some glossy accents to it to give it a bit of shine. Jennifer Maguire has actually used this in the past, and I feel it actually really makes the word really pop off the page. So it's just a different look to a card as well, and it just jazzes up a fairly plain chipboard element. So there we go. There's our card. Fairly simple, fairly fun. Here's another look at the cards. For more information, please visit BasicGrey.com. Thanks for watching.